Hi guys. Welcome back to my channel, the best place for who wants to be a better player in the global market. In this video, I'm talking about what are the best countries to target for rice imports in Africa. I think you are going to get some really good ideas. The possibilities are truly endless when it comes to building your business and be your own boss. So if you are excited about learning international trade, if you are excited about becoming a better player in the global market, make sure you hit that like button. It helps us get seen by more people here on YouTube. And be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when I post new videos. Rice is one of the basic goods consumed in Africa and mainly the white type of rice. But even so, some countries consume it more than others. While rice is also locally produced in Africa, it is never enough to supply for all the demand on the market. Rice production in Africa is constantly increasing, and the authorities try to find the funds to support this industry as well. Some African countries like Benin try to improve their rice production, but they are also exporting it to Nigeria. And the examples go on and on because this is a common practice within the African continent. But since one country is exporting to another, the entire African continent still needs foreign investors to add rice to the local markets. This product is so popular because it is easy to cook and comes at an affordable price, especially for the urban population. The importance of rice grew along with history and is becoming even more relevant in nowadays society. Many African countries tried to supply their rice demand, but even if they started farming it, it wasn't a success. African rice is not of the same quality as imported rice, and locals learned to tell the difference. They prefer rice made abroad with systems of farming that are hard to implement in Africa. These are the present struggles that African countries have, but changes are made every year. By the end of 2020, many African governments promise significant investments in agriculture. Here are the countries that need rice the most and are welcoming importers from all over the world. 1. Benin. Benin is a large African country with almost 11 million people living in both urban and rural areas. The rice farming industry developed significantly in Benin, and it is very used in rural areas. However, it is not enough to supply the country's needs, especially when it comes to its urban population. The urban population in Benin is almost half of the country, and it is also the main rice-consuming area. And the rice consumption keeps growing every year, which becomes a challenge for Benin's government. The most consumed form of rice is the white rice, which can be cooked easily and found at lower prices. With the ongoing rice production by country, Benin is a great supplier for bigger countries like Nigeria. Benin imports rice mainly from India, Thailand, or United Arab Emirates, but these are only the top 3 importers out of about 15 ones. Some investors are growing rice locally in Benin, which brings a lot of benefits to the local market, including new jobs. Lebanon, India, Pakistan, and Thailand have local investors that developed rice farming in Africa and particularly in Benin. These importers make it easier to provide the rice that local market needs and can also develop the industry at many levels. If you are looking for countries in Africa to export rice to, Benin should be one of your first options. 2. Nigeria. Even if Nigeria increased the production of rice, they still rely on imports a lot. Rice production in Nigeria is reaching around 15 million metric tons annually according to the government. But with Nigeria having almost 180 million citizens, the demand for rice is much more than the quantity that can be locally produced. The imports of rice were reduced slightly, but not so much to make a difference for importers. Nigeria gets rice imported from other African countries such as Benin, but also from India, Thailand, and other corners of the world. The good part is that Nigeria consumes all types of rice, and they use this ingredient in a variety of dishes. There is plenty of rice food that Africans like to cook and even incorporate into their traditions. And since rice cultivation is not the best type of farming in Africa, imports remain the main solution. Nigeria is the biggest second rice importer in the world with 3,000 metric tons, followed by the Philippines and Iran. While the first rice importer worldwide remains China with 4,700 metric tons. However, Nigeria is importing large quantities of rice, and as a potential exporter, you should consider that. If you can export tons of rice at a time, this country can be your financial paradise. The deals will also get better the more quantities of rice you provide, and you can also get a lot of shipment bonuses. 3. The Gambia. The Gambia might be the smallest country in Africa, but it is also an important rice importer. With a population of a little over 2 million people, Gambia relies strongly on rice when it comes to their cuisine and eating habits. They don't produce rice locally, and that makes them great clients for foreign rice exporters. Even if the supply that the Gambia needs when it comes to rice is not a big one, it is still worth to get on the market. Exporters that decide to trade on the local market of Gambia appreciate the consistency and profit of the business. They will need rice constantly, which means that you as the importer will never run out of orders. If you are a beginner when it comes to trading on the African market, you can start by importing rice to the Gambia. You can always build your way up from there and decide to get into more developed markets such as Nigeria. 4. Sudan. Sudan is one of the largest countries not only in Africa but the entire world. With a population of around 40 million people, Sudan also has high demands regarding food. And rice is one of their basic ingredients. While they can get some rice supplies from other African countries, Sudan is relying mostly on foreign investors that can not only provide the rice they need but also help them grow it. After Nigeria, Sudan should be the second option to look at if you are an experienced rice exporter. Breaking into this market will bring you a lot of benefits and endless opportunities. Not to mention the other opportunities that Sudan offers foreign importers. Bigger African countries usually offer more opportunities for importers due to the high demand that they have. Also, the price might need to be adjusted to the country's possibilities, but in the long run, investors and importers make a profit. While Sudan is struggling with serious economic development, it is a place to develop your rice business. Foreign rice exporters can make a profit and reach other African countries through Sudan. It is for those who can adjust their price to the local market and care about long-term business. This is because Sudan gives them stability and consistency when it comes to their profit. 5. Algeria. If you are looking to import rice into African countries, Algeria should be on your list as well. People of Algeria require many products and goods, including food. And rice is a basic ingredient of Algerian culture and can be added to many dishes. The People's Democratic Republic of Algeria is home to more than 41 million people living in rural and urban areas. And white rice is a product that is always in demand for all kinds of citizens. There are local companies that will guide you into the Algerian market to make sure that your product is reaching the shelves. You can find all the regulations online by accessing some trusted sites. But you can also gather valuable information by checking with the local authorities. And by the end of this article, we will also give you a solution to save time and money when you import in Algeria or any other country. So keep your eyes on the price until the end. Most important rice exporters worldwide. While some countries rely on rice imports to provide for their population, others rely on rice exports. Most of some countries' economic system is based on rice exports, in all its forms. And this comes very handily for countries like those in Africa that need more rice than they can't produce. Here are the top 10 rice exporters from all over the world. And they also export rice to countries from Africa, which creates a strong commercial chain. 1 India, $5.3 billion United States dollars, 26.7% of total rice exports. 2 Thailand, $4.4 billion, 21.9% of total rice exports. 3 United States, $1.9 billion, 9.6% of total rice exports. 4 Pakistan, $1.7 billion, 8.5% of total rice exports. 5 Vietnam, $1.6 billion, 8% of total rice exports. 6 Italy, $565 million, 2.8% of total rice exports. 7 Myanmar, Burma, $438.9 million, 2.2% of total rice exports. 8 Uruguay, $413.8 million, 2.1% of total rice exports. 9 China, $378.8 million, 1.9% of total rice exports. 10 Cambodia, $305.9 million, 1.5% of total rice exports. India seems to remain the best rice exporter for many years, and many other countries rely on it. These rice exporting countries built their economies on such trading because they can grow the rice cheaper and sell it for a fair amount that allows them to develop. Other countries that are great rice exporters for Africa are Brazil, Belgium, Argentina, Paraguay, or Guyana. And there are hundreds of companies from these countries that study the African market and identify new opportunities. You can also become one of these successful rice exporters in Africa if you take it step by step and have the right information. There are certain regulations to be followed when you import rice into Africa. And more often than not, such regulations apply to a wide variety of goods besides rice. You will need a lawyer to make sure your documents meet the African requirements, and your export-import process doesn't get stuck into obstacles. You will also need some trustful local contacts like companies that will make sure your rice reaches the store shelves and the clients. It might be a challenging process at first, but it is worth it in the long run. You can start by importing your rice into one African country and learn as you are doing it. Over time you will find it easier to add a second country and a third one. Not to mention that you will be able to create the right contacts to ease your import-export process in the future. Depending on how developed your company is, you can also become a rice producer locally. Many importers invest in local rice farming and produce their rice inside Africa. It saves them shipping costs and extra concerns when it comes to the safety of your product. You can create a beautiful and successful career in less than 5 years. And this is assuming that you will grow along with your expansion from one country to another. Before you import rice into Africa, make sure to observe the market objectively. It is important if you want to evaluate your investment correctly. Most African countries have certain rice preferences even if there is a common preference for white rice. However, you should consider importing a variety of types of rice. You can simply adjust the quantities. Import more white rice and less brown rice if you notice that there is a bigger demand for white rice. This type of rice is so popular because it is easy to cook and fairly cheap. Africans of all social statuses consume it without being considered an expensive item. Remember to estimate your investment right by taking into consideration all costs. There will be a legal aspect, a social aspect, and a quality aspect. All of these combine into the same import-export process. And one mistake can have a dramatic effect on your company. The worst thing to do when you are dealing with a massive import-export strategy is to do it all yourself. You will need a great team to rely on and several specialists to keep you informed about details that might come up while dealing with local authorities. Because you will need to put together a complete folder about your rice and the quality of it before you make plans for profit. Many foreign importers have problems fulfilling the paperwork and providing the documentation that is requested. And if this is happening in the middle of the import-export process, it can delay your business. The most dramatic consequence is losing funds that you can't get back from your profit. You can take care of the entire import-export process yourself or with the help of your team. This practice can save rice consumption for you. Besides, it will cost your company many expenses including your human resources, marketing, and research departments. It might all be worth it in the end, especially if you find a way to rise above the market. Try to beat your competitors' best offers until you create your brand name on the market. Once you are easy to recognize on shelves of different stores, you have been successful. It might take time and work, but it will be for the best in the end. The African market offers many opportunities, and it takes sharp business skills to identify them and exploit their potential. Finally, last but not the least, if you are satisfied with this video, just share it with your friends and comment below. Your comment is very crucial for me. Do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Like, comment and share with your friends. I appreciated all your support. Enjoy your journey.